Everyone, this is me again with your grammar capsule. Today it's about the simple past. Okay, the simple past is used to talk about an action that was completed in the past at a specific time, and it can describe also a past habit. For example, I went to France last summer. That's in the simple past, an action completed at a specific time. I did a lot of ballet when I was a kid, so that's a past habit. The difference with present perfect, I have been to France, is that you're not very specific when you talk about that. You're just saying that you have the experience of doing this in the past, but you're not being specific, and that's why you're not using simple past. First, if you want to conjugate your verb in the past, you just decide if your verb is an irregular verb, so you can look in your list, but eventually you'll know them. So you look if it's an irregular verb, and if it's an irregular verb, you conjugate it. The second column, so the first column is the infinitive, the second column is the simple past, and the third column is the past participle. You use the past participle with present perfect, that we will see at the end of the school year, but you should know a little bit about that already. And the simple past is the second column. As you know, in French we say je suis allé, but in English you just say I went. In French you would say j'ai mangé, but in English you would say I ate. Il n'y a pas de j'ai and there's no je suis, okay? So if it's not in your agenda, it's a regular verb. That means that you need to put ed to your verb. So as you can see, you don't even think about it. It's ed for the first person singular all the way to the third person plural. Same thing everywhere. The negative form for irregular and regular verbs, did not. It becomes didn't when it's contracted. And as you can see, your main verb is back to the base form. The base form is what we call the verb that is not conjugated. So I did not walk. There's no ed to walk. You would not say I did not went. You would say I did not go, etc., etc. Spelling rules. Most verbs you add ed. So cooked. If the verb ends with a e, you just add a d to it. If you have a short verb, one syllable, and it ends with a vowel and a consonant, you double the consonant plus ed. If you have a verb that ends with a vowel with a w or an x, you don't double the consonant, you just add ed to it. Regular verbs, if you have a consonant and a y, then you change it to ied, but if it's a vowel and a y at the end of your verb, you just add ed. Here you don't have to write this, but just so you know, you have 3 different sounds when you pronounce the ed. Verbs ending with the sound, it's not how you write it, but it's how you hear it. With the sound B, G, J, L, M, N, R, V, Z, the ed is a D sound. So rained, for example. If you have a verb that ends with the sound F, K, P, S, X, C, H, and SH, it's a T sound, like stopped. If you have a verb that ends with a T or a D sound, it's ID sound, so divided. I suggest that you practice this. You just pronounce your verb with the sound at the end, orally, out loud, so you hear when you're not speaking correctly. Eventually, you need to practice. Verb to be, just so you know, the verb to be is always different in English, so it's I was, you were, etc. The negative is not. Contracted becomes wasn't or weren't. Questions with the verb to be. So, you have your verb. Again, you follow the pattern that you've learned with the simple present. So you switch the subject and the verb. I was ready becomes was I ready. So your verb in the past tense, your subject, and the rest of the question. The answer to this is yes, I was. No, I was not. for example. So it's a short answer. Information question, you just add a question word to your yes/no question. So question word, verb to be, subject, and rest of the question. The other verbs, regular and irregular, you need your auxiliary to make a question. So you need the auxiliary did that tells you you're in the past tense. So did, subject, verb at the base form once more. It's not did I bought, it's did I buy. It's not did you saw, it's did you see, etc., etc. So the answer to your yes/no question with the other verbs is yes, I did, no, I did not. If you have a question with did, you answer with did, right? Information questions start with the question word, did, subject, verb, and the rest of the question. So basically, you add a question word to a yes/no question. And that's it for today. I'll see you again.